I had to make this video because I feel like every single time I've had major success, and we're talking, I've just been able to jump milestones ahead of where I thought I'd ever be able to go. Every time I've been able to accomplish something like that, it's when I've broken like a major rule or a major no-no of the industry. So if you're stuck in your career and you're kind of feeling like you're not knowing what to do next and you have some ideas, but you're like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to do that. I don't think it's a good idea because the industry always tells me like, never do this, or never do that. So this video is meant to kind of give you some encouragement and maybe some clarity and perspective. I'm going to just tell you my 3 biggest rules that I broke in the industry that actually didn't hinder my success at all, but actually even more than that made me extremely successful. So I'm going to go over those 3 things with you. Maybe you can implement some of those, maybe not, but at least you'll be able to have the courage to maybe try some things that you thought you shouldn't ever try before. So thanks so much for watching. Let's get into it. So the first rule that I broke, that I don't know a lot of people who have broke this rule because every single person tells you don't ever do this, was I started as an independent stylist like in a brand new city without a clientele. I went straight to a salon studio where I was in complete control of my business. I didn't have any clientele. So what they always tell you in school, what they always tell you in maybe like salons that you're working at, is you can't be an independent stylist, you can't have a studio suite, you can't start your own business if you don't have a clientele first. Well, I did it multiple times without like a huge clientele. The first time I did it, I had some clients because I had worked in a salon maybe for a year, but I was still a very new stylist. So the second time I did it though, I was in a brand new area, completely different state. Nobody even knew who I was. And I started my own studio because I just don't believe that your clientele is what makes you successful. It's an asset and it can be helpful, but it's not what's going to ultimately make you successful. And I know this because I tried to hand over my clientele to people before and they completely flopped with that clientele. So it's not the clientele that makes you successful. It is your system and your business model. That's what makes you successful. And there are ways to actually build your clientele without having to start with a clientele to begin with. And that leads me to my second biggest rule that I broke, which is everybody in the industry says, they try to beef you up and beef up your ego, saying like, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And I could not disagree with this more. Now, I will say that there's a way to do things for free, and I'll kind of distinguish between the 2 different ideas and why my ideas helped me build a clientele very, very quickly, and why another way of doing free work probably won't do it as quickly. But the general idea that doing free work is just a bad idea and you should never do it, completely disagree with that. And there's always people in the comment section who love to fight me on this, and they're just like, you should never do free work, that's like a big no-no and stuff. And hey, do whatever you want. I'm just here to give you advice that really helped me. And in fact, I was able to grow my clientele in 12 weeks primarily because of the free work that I did. And basically the strategy behind that was not, I'm just gonna do anybody's hair who wants their hair done. The strategy behind that was I wanted to promote a specific style or a specific offer that I wanted people to know about, and I wanted to present it in the best light possible. So I would literally find people who were going to be the perfect fit for this method, for this technique. I am a balayage artist, so I have a certain style of the way I do balayage and a certain look that I'm able to achieve for people. And that is what, it was like one thing that I really, really wanted to promote. So I would go really, really hard trying to find people who would be able to exhibit this look in the best light possible. I wanted to find people in my community who everybody kind of looked up to, or everybody loved their hair, and would ask them like where they got it done. Also, I would use all of that content for my social media, for my website, for everything, to just demonstrate that I was able to achieve this look that people desperately wanted. So that was the purpose of me using models. Now, the other free work that I think people just really, I think it's the real reason people always say like never do free work, is when you start just relaxing on your principles in order to kind of please people. For example, like when you just start saying like, oh, well, I'll do it for free because you can't afford it. Oops, sorry, my microphone. I'll do it for free because you can't afford it. Things like that. Or, oh, I feel like I just can't get clients to pay, so I'm just going to do this person for free. Hopefully she refers me. That type of thing. That's a completely different strategy, completely different method. And that is not what I'm promoting. So there is a difference, and you just have to have an open mind, because if you just focus on doing this for like a short amount of time, this free work, and I've talked about this kind of at length in other videos. I also have a course that can help you like just kind of implement all of this if you want to go deep into it. But the difference is you're not doing people's hair for free because they want it done. You're doing people's hair for free because you have a specific plan and strategy behind it, and a plan and strategy for actually promoting it with all of the content that you get from it. Because in this day and age, it's all about content. Content marketing is how I built my business. And I did it by doing free work because I didn't have any clients. Who was I going to demonstrate my work on? So who was I going to use? And then a lot of times, like even if I got 1 or 2 clients in the very beginning of building my clientele, maybe they didn't have the best hair, maybe it's not pictures that I really wanted to show people. That could happen. It could absolutely happen. So I wanted to be very strategic and intentional about the work that I was putting out there so that I can quickly attract clients, and it not just be like, okay, sometimes I have somebody who photographs really well. Sometimes I have time to take pictures after. No, I kind of made it all about creating content in the beginning because I had nothing but time. So this is a great strategy for people who, they move to a brand new city. They don't have clients. Now keep trying to get your clients, keep trying to bring people in on the side. But when you're not working on people, I really suggest working on models, but having a strategic plan for doing it. And remember, the strategy is not to turn those models into clients. The strategy is to create content, because content is how you're going to attract more people to you and what you do. So the third rule that I broke, that this doesn't really have to do with marketing or anything. Well, I guess it's a little bit related, but it does have to do with business. The third rule that I broke was gradual price increases. Everybody in the industry tells you, you got to raise your prices because costs go up, expenses go up. You got to raise your prices. And the fact is that clients do not care about your expenses, about your costs, about inflation. They do not care. So if that's the reason that you're giving for doing like these gradual price increases, they're just going to be irritated, annoyed. And I found that was my experience with like when I used to work at a salon. They're just kind of like these gradual price increases. Depending on how often they see you, it might feel like, okay, the prices are always going up. Like, what's the deal? So I completely just shattered that, and I instead just like tripled my prices overnight. But I wasn't able to do that just willy-nilly. I had to base it off something substantial. So the reason I was able to do that is I would implement a new service that was worth triple the price, because your services are worth exactly what clients are willing to pay for it. So if you can implement a new service that is worth 3 times what you are charging right now, that's how you can raise your prices without doing these subtle little price increases that just piss everybody off. So that's what I did. I did my ultra blended color method, and I promoted it as something completely different than what was already out there. Everybody's doing freehand balayage, 2.5 hour, 3 hour services. But the problems that clients were having with that is they couldn't get what they wanted in one visit. There's so much content out there. Pinterest, on Instagram, they're seeing these incredible transformations, but yet they weren't able to get that in one appointment. They think like, oh, if I just go in and ask for balayage, then I'm gonna get what this Pinterest photo looks like. So they would think that, and they were constantly disappointed. Even my own clients, if I'm being honest, were, they never thought like I messed up their hair or anything like that, but they're always like, oh, I just wish I was lighter. I just wish there was more, which you've heard me talk about that in other videos. But most stylists will take that and think that they can't do anything because, well, I only have 2.5 or 3 hours of time to work on. That's what the salon gives me to do highlights. But the big shift that I made was to focus on the result primarily, not the time, not how many clients I was seeing in a day. And because of that, I was ultimately able to charge like 3 times what I was charging because I was able to deliver a specific result that they wanted. So I completely focused on the result. That's how I was able to raise my prices to $100 an hour for balayage looks and transformations. So it doesn't have to be balayage. It doesn't have to be what I was doing, but what you have to be able to do is identify the problems in the market and figure out exactly what clients really struggle with and what they really, really want to fix and what they really want to change. That is your goal, because if you can just focus on delivering results that address those issues, they will love you, they will be extremely loyal, and they're willing to pay higher prices. Not only that, they respect you so much more because you're not just taking clients just to take clients. They respect you because you actually care about getting them the end result, not just, I did the service, pay me for it. I did highlights, pay me for it. It's, we are promising a specific end result, and that's what you are paying for, not for me to just do highlights on you. So that is my method for raising prices. And so those are my 3 main rules that I broke as a hairstylist. So I didn't have a full clientele when I started renting a studio salon. I built my clientele in 12 weeks by doing free work. And that's like a huge no-no. And I bet you I'll still get people in the comments telling me that that wasn't a good idea, even though the result kind of speaks for itself. I made $100,000 the first year I ever did that, and that was profit. $100,000 profit by focusing on doing that free work in the beginning. And then I kind of got to coast a little bit from there when it came to marketing, once it kind of just like took off. And then the third thing was incremental price increases. My thing is get good at something people really, really want and just go for it. Raise those prices to what it's worth. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if there's any rules that you're thinking of breaking in the industry, but you don't feel confident doing it. Maybe you have some logic behind why you want to break those rules. Tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to hear. And hopefully this gave you some encouragement to kind of think outside the box, keep an open mind, because for me, it was all the difference in my career. Those 3 things are what made me, I swear. I was just, an average stylist. But when I started to break like those big rules in the industry that everybody tells you not to break, that's when I saw like my most success. And that's what ultimately set me apart, so that clients saw me differently than my competition. So I really hope the same for you, and I hope this video helps. And if it did, the best thing that you could do for me, like this video, comment, help me get it to as many stylists as possible. Share it, like, comment, subscribe. You know how it is. You've probably been on YouTube for a while now, but all of those things are super important. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lauren again, and I will see you guys soon.